Thank you for joining in, and I have a fantastic guest all the way from Tokyo, and he's been there for 13 years. His name is Elia Gaitau, and he is my special guest. He's going to be on here for the next minute or so, but I just wanted to just share with you just a few things about my brother that's coming on. Not only is he been living in Tokyo with his wonderful wife and son for 13 years, but has achieved from his training back in New Zealand as he studied jazz and improvisation and theory and was able to successfully penetrate the New Zealand scene and settle over a decade in Tokyo. And during that time, he teaches as a teacher there, but also has been running his jazz teaching tuition service as well as performing regularly in Tokyo. And so, whilst he's been doing that, he's been able to be our man over there in Japan. And some great stories that we discussed about that he has had with not only with Australian, New Zealand, and Japanese jazz, but he's also been able to interface with the culture of Japan and bring his Samoan Polynesian upbringing and be able to immerse it in with the culture in Japan with the Japanese jazz scene. So I'm going to play a little bit because I've just been raving on too long. So I'm going to come out of the scene here and let's play a little bit of my favorite tunes here so that you can really get to appreciate. So I'll just drop that. Ooh. So while I bring that on, and just before I bring them on, I just wanted to share one other tune just to give a bit of diversity about the career. And there's so much recording here, but I've chosen this one, and I'll want to share this one with you, and I'll just drop out. So. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I found was blind, but now I see. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring you on my wonderful friend from Tokyo, Elia Gaitau. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, while we bring him on, and there's a big applause.
Oh man, thanks. Thanks so. What an introduction. Oh my gosh.
Hey, give us a bit of background. Catch up from New Zealand education and over to being married with a wonderful family, living in Japan for 13 years. So yeah, is that okay?
Yeah. That's fine. Okay. So education is such a wide spectrum, as you know. So as Polynesians, we're all educated from the beginning, right? Like when we're learning how to sing,
Mm,
usually we go to church and we're going to be singing. Yeah. So I'd like to say that my education probably started from my mother, and she always singing around the home, you know. And I remember she taught me my first three chords on the ukulele, and she was singing "You Are My Sunshine" or something like that, and me noi," and some other songs, you know. So that's where I would say my music education started, and through I think as children growing up, I know we like I look at my 6-year-old son now. He's a sponge, right? He's just learning so much information. I think we also do that. So for me, I think it was Sesame Street, watching lots of TV. So mum would watch her Days of Our Lives, and then after that, I think it was Sesame Street, and I used
wow.
to love watching their program, you know. And I'm a
Mm,
'70s kid, so I used to love watching the other sitcoms that would come on from America with my older siblings, like
mm.
Welcome Back, Kotter, and WKRP in Cincinnati, or
Wow,
um,
wow.
and just the music themes to
Yeah,
those shows. You know, they when you look
yeah,
at it now, it's a lot of jazz sounding chords happening in all of those tunes. And also on Sesame Street, they had a lot of American artists that would always feature. So
yeah.
I'd like to think a lot of it started from there. But if you're talking about education and that, I would say Avondale College, um, and Paul Norman, who was my mentor for a lot of musicians that came out of that high school. And Paul was a great educator, and I remember he put me in the
Oh,
funk band. Um, I was in the Maori group. I was like one of three or four Samoans. We decided to join the Maori group instead, and then
mhm.
and it was fun. You know, we got to connect with just the culture. You know,
Yeah.
and so it was cool. But Paul Norman, I remember he started like at high school back in those days. It was only classical as a option to for music, especially when you got to like form, what was it, form 6, form 7. You had to pretty much go the classical route, and there was nothing else offered. So I know that Paul started a um, a course where it was more modern music, more learning how to
Mhm,
listen to Stevie Wonder songs and
mm,
Incognito and stuff like that, and he made a course around that. So started from there, and then he threw me into the funk band, and I
mm,
was playing guitar,
mm,
and then we kind of changed, and yeah, and then I got into the school jazz big band. I remember there was a jazz band there, and one of my good friends, Stuart Haynes, his older brother, by the way, Duncan Haynes, is an amazing, uh, just awesome jazz pianist. And so Stuart, he was the first one to teach me my first ever blues scale. And I remember he goes, let me just change this here. He
oh,
taught me
yeah.
this. He taught me that, and he goes, hey, play that, and he goes, that's a blues. And so instead of playing over a blues, what does it sound like if it's over these happy sounding chords? And so I remember, oh, okay, so he taught me the right hand, and I remember I was freaking out. I remember freaking out that he would go like this with one finger, and I said, what, you can do that? Are you allowed to do that? So I remember I went home, and then I'll put the mic down. Hang on. So I got hooked on that. I got so hooked on it. I remember going home. It was like about 4 p.m. and I skipped dinner, and I just kept playing and playing. And then I remember all of a sudden my mum knocking on the door. It was 3 a.m. and she goes, Sole, are you going to bed? And I said, oh yeah. So I played a few more times, and that's all I was doing from from 4 p.m. to 3 a.m. I just was hooked on that blues sound, as
Wow.
you would know. And so
Mm, yeah.
that's what really got me, I guess, started into the jazz side of music.
Yeah.
Um, and then
And,
I went down to Wellington to study at a later age, to the jazz con, and had some amazing mentors down there. My personal piano teachers were Anita Schwabe and Kirsten McKenzie and
wow.
Lee Jackson. They taught me privately, and then afterwards Kevin Fields up in Auckland,
Mm,
and a few lessons with the late Phil Broadhurst, who's no longer with us. But yeah,
wow.
some
Wow.
really awesome educators.
Yeah. And then we've jettisoned over to Japan and Tokyo, and you've had these relationships, but I've noticed you're a master playing, holding a microphone, and playing left and right hand. So I'm gonna say to the audience, look, why don't we hear Elia play the piano for us right now? So there's a body of work I haven't covered, but he's released the CD, beautiful on Spotify. I was listening to some of his work, and you can catch him on Instagram and on YouTube with his cooperation collaboration in Japan. But would you like to share with the audience something that you'd like to play for us? Is that all right? Whilst
Sure,
we
sure, okay.
we got it in front of us, and I'll just disappear. So take it away. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So my mom taught me, "You Are My Sunshine," and so this is for mom. My mom passed away in February this year, so I'd like to dedicate this to mom. Okay, sorry that was unrehearsed, but that's what we do.
Yeah, man, that was amazing. Hey, condolences to your mom, and that was really heartfelt, man. It was beautiful.
Oh,
And
thanks.
hey, don't put that piano away, man. Just show that screen
That's
up
good.
there again. I just wondered, one of the tunes that I played from your album, N.E. Waltz, a beautiful tune. Maybe if you could touch on the audience, um, and down below, guys, there I've got his website as such, and also his Instagram account, and
Oh, thank
there's
you.
so much more I'd like to cover, but I just really wanted to share our man in Tokyo, who's out there doing some added value work amongst the people over there. Not only is he playing the music, and he's demonstrating his love and passion, but he's also teaching music. So stop talking, Fraser. Play some more music for us, brother. We'd love to hear, if that's okay with you, you know.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, oh, and I'll disappear. Yeah, go away, Fraser. Go away.
Okay, thanks. Oh man. So for those of you who don't know, we're live, right? But before this, Fraser and I we met. I think it was for the first time, right? And we talked for ages. So now here's the fling. So I came out with a quick promo. Came out with my first ever solo piano album called New Dream. And yeah, so one of the songs that Fraser's talking about is called NE Waltz. N is for Naoko, that's the name of my wife, and E is for my name, Elia, Naoko Elia Waltz. So this is a, yeah, this, I'll just play a little bit of it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Wonderful. Woohoo. Hey, thank you for sharing that for us, man. That was absolutely amazing. Just got a couple of questions I want to throw at you.
Sure,
You
sure.
know, couple of your experience. You moved, educated in New Zealand. You moved to Tokyo for over a decade, and all of that time, like all of us as musicians, um, we model our initial learning through our peers and our mentors that we listen to and we play, and then we try and carve out our sound, the best we can by grabbing all the different nuances. So when it comes to your composition and writing music, now that I've described a little bit about how we grab and we try to carve out, what's been your experience of that now living amongst Japanese musicians and having them interweave with your creativity and your responses to the you described it. What New Zealand has 5 million and same size as New Zealand, and
Right,
they
yeah.
got what 100 and something million people there. Like whoa.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great question. Well, like being a Samoan, and a Polynesian growing up and going to a Samoan church, and that we have, our culture is quite. w- We take a lot of pride in our culture, right? And we want to try and we want to stand out, I suppose, but we also don't want to be a show off. We also want to be like, we want to do our best because our parents always want us to do our best. Like White Sunday comes around and you better say your verse properly. You say you've got
Yeah.
all these expectations, I suppose, but we're a small island, and then you want to represent your culture. Is it? Um, for myself, like I cannot speak the Samoan language very well, and I'll be, there's a long history behind that. It's not an excuse. I mean, I love being Samoan, and I'd love to try and speak it now. But there was a huge part growing up in New Zealand, in the 70s, where we were told, my parents were told not to speak Samoan to me. They were told to speak only English. So I grew up, hearing mostly in English. And the Samoan I did hear was whenever my parents would speak with each other or with the older siblings or with their family. So, in answer to your question, I don't want to give like a huge go too deep, but basically, coming to Japan, I've always felt like, well, there's two halves. The first one is I felt really comfortable being brown. Not racist, but I'm just telling the truth. It's like when I first came here, I felt like, um, oh, I didn't feel any racism because we all looked the same color at the beginning. And then you find out later, oh man, every country has its own problems. But it taught me to, um, uh, it gave me a lot of time here to kind of find myself, if that makes sense. In New
Mm,
Zealand, you grow up and I grew up listening to a lot of R&B, a lot of um, my older brothers were into all kinds of stuff. They were into like, so whatever my siblings had, I'll be listening to that music.
mm,
Anything from Grace Jones to George Benson and Meatloaf and Toto, just
mm,
whatever. Mum and dad loved country music; they were into
mm,
that, and then the cousins were into reggae, and so it was just everything.
mm,
And
mm.
it's like, so all those influences, I don't want to throw those away. I want to embrace those and keep that. That's my identity, I
Yeah,
suppose. Growing up, that's part
yeah,
of me. um
yeah.
and we mentioned also, like, I watched a lot of TV with my mum when I was a little kid. Mum liked watching her Days of Our Lives show, and then after that she'll have an afternoon nap, and I'll be watching Sesame Street and all those other 70s American programs that would come on late at night. I'd watch those with my parents or with my dad or with my older siblings, like,
Yeah.
you know, WKRP in Cincinnati, or Welcome Back Kotter, or Chico and the Man, and just all those that had really awesome soundtracks to it. They had this amazing vibe. They had lots of major seven sounds, and just lots of sus, lots of that kind of sound happening on all of those all of those TV themes. And
Yeah.
Sesame Street had, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, had that countdown thing.
Mm,
Um, Nerd alert! There was the Pointer Sisters, by the way, who were doing the background on that track, and
mm.
they always had, like, different artists on. So all of that stuff, I think, it just it's I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's like, what's your identity? Do you know what you are? Do you know? And I think I'm still searching for that in a kind of way, but I take that along with me because I like it.
Yeah.
It's the sound that I enjoy. So being here in Japan, a lot of Japanese, they kind of, from what I've seen, they like to follow. They like to be told what to do, and they kind of copy it to the T. Sometimes a bit too much, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
I'm thankful that when I'm here, like I did say, at the beginning, I felt comfortable because of that racism issue thing that
Yeah.
that I've
You talked
faced.
about.
Yeah,
Mm,
and then the other side is learning that it's okay to be different, and it's okay. I've learned this a lot from my American expat friends here in Japan. I think I've learned more about the deep side of jazz history and just the way it's conducted, I suppose, if that's a proper word, from my American friends here than in New Zealand. And I think it's just a cultural thing. You know, it's just more exposure here in Japan. There's more exposure to Americans being here, who also play jazz, in my experience. So I've kind of taken on that approach. That okay, well, what can I do? I'm not Charlie Parker on the piano. You know, I'm not Oscar Peterson. I can't play like Art Tatum. I can't do that. There's a lot of stuff that I know that I can't do, but what can I do? And so I just keep hearing that voice, that Samoan pride from my mom when I was a kid saying, you know, you can do it. You can do anything. Put the Lord first. You can do anything. So that's just been my number one, I suppose, way to approach everything is that just have faith that you can do it. You know, do your best. Just go for
Mm.
it, and then try and be true to what it is. I remember Ernie and Max, you know, Max Dowers, and then I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
saying, I think it was Max. Max always said to me, "The music will always be bigger than any of us." And then I never really understood that when I was younger. You know, I just thought, oh yeah, okay, they all say that. All the great players say that the music is going to be bigger. But I suppose the more experience you receive, you know, that you get under your belt, and the more of life that you live, you start to realize that I'm not here to impress anyone. I'm just here to share my story, and
yeah.
you know,
Wonderful, wonderful.
and so that's what I suppose he means. We will always be like servants to the music because we will never be masters at it, but
Yeah,
we will
yeah,
always want to be in our best, you know, our best shape, I suppose, to be able to musically,
yeah.
you know,
And
share it.
I want you to take us out because I just wanted to say thank you very, very much for being part of one of many podcast live streams that I conduct with you because we didn't even got get to our questions that we wanted to talk about, but
No
that's
problem.
okay because we just love to hear you play. But I just wanted to sum up, coming up to the end of this month is International Jazz Day, and my guests have been in a sense. Um, a part of a form of music that's transcended national and cultural boundaries. And it's just a natural fit celebrating diversity and promoting cross-cultural understanding with what you're talking about and I'm talking about, which is International Jazz Day, which promotes, you know, particularly through Herbie Hancock, the ethos of inclusivity and bringing together people from around the world to enjoy and appreciate jazz music. And I don't mean at a high level, but you being a teacher, whatever level you're at, and forming those little ethoses and nurturing that. But for everybody on International Jazz Day, it serves as a reminder of the power of music to bring people together. It's brought you and I together, and to bridge, these cultural divides that we talked about growing up. And these have been barriers to for us to understand how life can mistreat us in so many ways and how we can overcome it. So this is a real example. The first time we've connected is an opportunity through the love of music and talk about our communities and our friends and people from different backgrounds, which you shared through the common love of jazz. And overall, we work towards to celebrate the music of jazz, music that we love, and it's a reminder of the importance of the cultural diversity and understanding. And when I say jazz, I mean it really loosely because I love playing the blues.
Mm.
I love playing all sorts of music, country music. I love all of it.
Yep.
But it's just a reminder that it serves as that reminder that it's a great way of understanding between people and different backgrounds. And on that note, I want to really step out. And boy, brother, can you just take us out with your beautiful playing? And thank you so much for really, really entertaining us today. We've really, really benefited. Usually, I pull my little chain here, and the crowd comes and applause. But I don't have that button yet, but I'm working on it.
Oh man, thanks. You know, Sully, you should have told me how long we have for this actual
We
recording
we
because
got carried away, but that's
no, no,
okay. We love it.
because people who are watching this, like before you went on air, before you went live, we were talking for ages. It's like,
Yeah, I know. But
but,
hey, brother, you able to take us out, and thank you so much.
oh,
Thank you.
hey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me to come on, Fraser. And you're doing an amazing work. I'm gonna check out more of your interviews. Looking forward to that. So I'll just play anything.
Yep, yep. Whatever you to take us out. Yeah, take us
Okay.
out.
Take us out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Elia
Thanks for song.
Gaitau. Woohoo! Over and out. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, brother.